1, 2, 3.
Good.
Welcome to Two Black Guys with Good Credit.
She wasn't out of the frame. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
10. I'll give you a
3, 2.
Two black guys with good credit.
Welcome to Two Black Guys with Good Credit. We're here for another episode. My name is Shaun. I'm the host of Two Black Guys with Good Credit. And this episode, I'm bringing in one of my new best friends, Mr. Russel Bramwell. When I consider entrepreneurship, hustle mentality, this is the guy that I think can illustrate it best. So I just gave away the show. The show is going to be about the hustle and just the ins and outs, survival, and like I said, Russell, you're the man when it comes to those things. I throw so many things at you every day, and you're able to bounce them back to me and help me with my growth and my entrepreneurship. So let's give them like a quick little 30-second background about Russel Bramwell with the dark shades.
All right. Hello, everybody. Yes, Russel Bramwell. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a couple of businesses. I'm a real estate investor, buy and sell all over New York, rehabilitate. New construction from ground up. Also, I have a nonprofit for the homeless. We provide housing in Nassau County for the homeless for men, women, and families. That's pretty much.
That's good.
In a nutshell.
We got to dig into that because it sounds so nice and love, but it can be tough, So, I can tell you what inspired me to become an entrepreneur. I was when I was in college. I used to throw parties. We used to call ourselves the Undercover Brothers. And our slogan was, it was real men move in silence. And, we packed it out. We were the people would come far and near from different cities to come to our events. So then I knew I had the entrepreneur bug. And when I fast forward, when I moved to New York, I worked on Wall Street for a number of years. And I was just like, I am not good at this corporate thing. And,
exactly.
And then I found, real estate, and that kind of saved me, brought me back to my entrepreneur grind, and it just all went from there. So what about you? How did it start off for you?
I think it's pretty similar, just wanting more. And then I think that just not fitting into the structure of corporate America, right? It just didn't resonate with me. Even though I think I did okay in corporate America, but just the whole working and just being responsible to other people, I wanted to try something different. And I think that just being Caribbean just kind of pushed, wanting to have your own kind of business.
Why being Caribbean? Why did that push you?
My family's always been in something. So if my father, even as a mechanic, he was always fixing cars in the driveway, just always thought about trying to figure out other ways to do things. So they tried to buy properties, didn't work out, but they tried to do other adventures to try to have a better life.
Well, my Caribbean family was the total opposite. When I was like, I want to work for myself, they thought I was crazy. Nobody was nobody believed in it, and that's the thing about entrepreneurship. I even want to get into the myth of entrepreneurship. It's a very lonely career choice. It's a very lonely thing. It's rewarding. It can be rewarding, but it's very lonely because most people don't see your vision, don't understand your vision. And if you're going to spend every day trying to kind of tell everybody or convince everybody what you're doing and how you're doing it, you're never going to be successful. You're just on this lonely path of hopefully it winds up into something productive, but it's a very, I think that's one of the biggest myths about being an entrepreneur. It's very lonely.
It's very lonely. It definitely is very lonely. I think that people, twofold, right? Families, they want you to have a secure future. So failure, and I think that people teach from just their fear of failure, right? For example, my mother, I think that one good story that I have, I was in my grind of hustling real estate, buying more properties. So she's come to a close with me. I said, Mom, aren't you proud of me? And she said, take it easy, son. You're ahead of yourself. Right? So as opposed to being in a space, I guess, to motivate me to move forward, it was more of the failure, like you might be doing too much. Right. Because in people's mind, they can't see it. So a lot of times you have to push yourself away from that and stay by yourself. So that is where it becomes lonely, because a lot of people won't believe in your dreams.
Yeah, I think people, when they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to hustle, they're looking for instant success, instant gratification.
Yeah.
And the grind is hard. The grind is hard. And, one of the biggest challenges I faced when starting out is really understanding cash flow. People, like I always use the analogy, are trying to hit this home run. When entrepreneurship, the key to longevity in it is really setting that solid foundation, and understanding you have worth. Like I was speaking to one of my favorite production groups, Verse Productions, just talking about going after those invoices, knowing that this is your business and people have to respect that, because a lot of times when you're starting out, you just want to get the momentum. But you have to really start focusing in on like, this is a business. This is a business. It has value. It has value, and you have to start managing and budgeting, and while being aggressive, while trying to capture market share. So I think the hardest part of starting out is just getting that momentum going and understanding, like, I have a business, and that biweekly paycheck, it's a wrap. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. But for me, I think that working in corporate America helped me get that structure, right? Of understanding that I have to work at least 8 hours a day. Then secondly, seeing my father, he worked probably from 5 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. So I always draw from that, like, you know, if this, my father at 65 years old, working 15 hours a day, there's no reason why I can't do it for myself.
Yep.
And that's always motivated me, where it's just like, I get tired and people, you know, they want to go home and rest. If there's something you have to do, you know that you can't give up.
Right.
And then also just not having options, right? So as an entrepreneur, when you have too many options, you're just going to give up. So when you feel like this is your only option, at least for me, right? Then it keeps me in that mind frame, like, I have no other choice. So I have to figure out what I have to do. I have to figure out how to move forward.
Yeah, failure's not an option. You know, and you know, like, I agree with you. When I moved here, I have like limited family here. So it's just me. I have to survive. I don't got nobody else to go to. So failing is not an option. So yeah, that hunger, which I wish my kids have it, but they don't have it, unfortunately. But that hunger, that fear of losing, like, just motivates you and gets me going. You know, and I always say, you may be able to run faster than me. You may get better grades than me. You may be able to see farther than me, but nobody's gonna outwork me. You know, and just like your father, and that's how I believe. I'm that little putt that keeps me. When I run, like, I was running at the park on Sunday, and there was this girl, like, and I was just trying to keep up with her. But in my head, I was like, nah, she's going to tap out. She can't keep that pace. She's going to tap out. And so be it. She tapped out, and I zoomed by her. And I think she noticed, and then she zoomed by me again. Then I zoomed by her again. And, like, that's the competitiveness. That's how I am in business. You know, like, I'm not tapping out.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You can't give up. That's the hustle. That's really what the hustle comes down to, just never giving up, never taking no for an answer, understanding that there's just no other option for you, right?
Exactly.
And you just have to keep on trying as many times you get hit down.
Exactly. I try to make this show with the younger people in mind, and I think about my kids, and I think one of the things that the younger generation may not understand is, like, navigating obstacles. It's like, it's not a straight road to success. You know what I mean? I always say it's hills and valleys and hills and valleys, and you just want to enjoy the ride. I used to always tell my mother, I'd rather earn $1 million than win $1 million, because the lessons along the way and the people I'm going to meet along the way when I earn that $1 million.
100%.
So what are some of the things, we speak on the phone all the time, so I know this question. You got to answer this question. Like what keeps you going, not want to quit? Because I've had some stories with you when you're just juggling. Like, you have 6, 7 properties on the go. You got mortgage payments to meet. You're trying to get permits, and I don't know how you do it. Like, why don't you quit on those days?
I think that I fall in love with the grind. Falling in love with the grind.
So when you're stressed out, you're in love with that moment.
I enjoy the grind. I enjoy the hustle. I enjoy being able to come out of situations that seem impossible. I fall in love with that process, right? Because if you, like, just think of the end goal of it, you're gonna lose wind. You understand? But I love to see that I'm on the brink of failure, and then it's just like, okay, we have to figure this out. I have to, like, there's that, because it just makes me feel like I'm going to become stronger. So those are those points that you become a better person in your entrepreneurship. So when you're at that edge of failure, so I push myself there quite often.
and honestly, when you FaceTime me, I don't know what I'm going to get. I may get you driving a Maybach, or I might get you at Home Depot lifting up sheetrock. I don't know who's coming on this FaceTime picture. But that's the grind, and people don't understand. Like, one thing I always say, you have to have no shame in your game. You got to be able to roll up your sleeves and do what you got to do. I mean, I think TV, internet, they're all misleading when it comes in terms of entrepreneurship, what it really takes to grind it out.
And you got to appreciate, like, I find appreciation in small things, right? Like, there's a guy I met at Home Depot the other day, and he's like, you want to buy a tool? I was like, no, I don't want to buy it. He's like, I need to do deliveries. So it's like, one day I just needed him to do some deliveries. So I'm talking to him. He's an immigrant. He has a young son. He's trying to take care of his wife, his family. But he has trucks, but his business slowed down. So I'm building a house and water in the basement, so I need to clean it out. This man took a bucket, a broom, and a dustbin, and he swept the water up for the whole entire day, put it in a bucket. No shame. Right? Because he knew he had to feed his family. So when you're in that space of, like, you just do what you have to do, that's get you to the next level.
Exactly.
And people, I think that people lose that humility when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Like there should not be anything that you're not willing to do for your business and for your family to move forward.
I tell people all the time, you got to enjoy and devour and love humble pie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you
yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
I got to thank
Yeah.
you time and time again. My new best friend is that you make me eat humble pie all the time and you ground me all the time. So I appreciate, that's one thing I can say I appreciate.
brother, no problem,
I appreciate about you. Now, in terms of, before we go to commercial, I want to ask you one more thing. Like in terms of failures, like I myself, and people may say, oh, that's not true, but I really don't look at any scenario as a failure. Like I really don't. Like, I mean, if I'm going through something and it's tough, it's me against that. It's grinding it out. I've experienced, 2 siblings passed away kind of like back to back.
Yeah.
And I absorb it in, and then I say, well, I have to live for the kids. I have to live for the living. I can't live for the dead.
Yeah.
I always just like look at these things in life to like navigate and understand these are just chapters of life, and I gotta grind through it because failure is not something that I honestly don't see it.
But I think that's a lot to just unpack, right? Because it's a mindset. Because people are taught from a young age that you shouldn't fail, right? And failure is one of the worst things. So it takes it had to take you from to be in that space, or for us to be in the space, I feel the same way, 20 years, right? So for a lot of people, you have to start just retraining your mind, finding out ways of reading books, understanding that failure becomes your friend, right? And how does it become your friend? And having people around you who have the same kind of mindset. A lot of people don't understand it. It doesn't matter. As many people you talk to, they'll never get it.
Yep.
They'll never get it.
Yep.
So you have to really be like a student of understanding that pain is important, right? Yeah. The feeling of failure is important for you. You have to see that as a friend for you as opposed to your enemy. And most people see it as an enemy, so they'll never get used to it. And then when they feel it, they run away from it. So they'll never get to that point because in success, it's just bubbling, just staying in that failure, that in that moment, in that energy that hurts, that pain, all that. And then there's going to be a point because you're thinking through it, you're processing through that in that time, but not moving from it. And then you're able to go.
And you don't even, when the success comes, you don't even notice when it comes.
No.
When you're in your success, most times you don't even notice when it comes.
You're like, oh shit.
You're like, oh shit, yeah. You can say that, oh shit. You're right. You're like, oh shit, we are.
Yes.
We're in success mode. With that being said, let's go take a 5-minute break. Let's pay some bills. It's Two Black Guys with Good Credit, and we're back with more. Welcome back to Two Black Guys with Good Credit, the show for the financially curious and the financially knowledgeable. So let's get grimy a little. Let's talk about the financial hustle. How do you keep your business financially healthy? And I mean, let's keep it real. Like this cash flow game is serious. People don't understand. Like some months I can be up $100,000 and some months I can be down $100,000, and it's just it's the grind of it, and it's really that having that confidence in like receivables and collectibles. I'm juggling all the time, and how do you keep yourself like above board, financially healthy?
That's a struggle.
When do you eat?
What? That's a struggle. You definitely eat, but you have to make sure that first and foremost.
Let's talk about how you eat. This is about how do you eat, because people don't understand. Like in your cash flow, when and how do you eat? Like when you pull in, out, and you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand. I think that's the difficult part. I think that when you have money coming in, right, you have to have your abundance. So you forecast. So let's say with my real estate business, I have deals that I'm working to get together to get to close. Once I close them, I have to fix them, I have to sell them. So on the real estate side, I don't need anything until I sell a deal. So that can take you sometimes 6 months to a year. So you have to have multiple deals moving at the same time, right? So cash flow crunch becomes a thing tremendously.
Right.
Because you're dealing with tremendous amounts of cash. So in terms of renovating, fixing them up, paying your guys, and then dealing with the unexpected, and then sometimes
the unexpected may not be business oriented. It could be like kids need something.
It could be that, and then unexpected.
Breaks.
Right, all of that, plus the unexpected.
4 Mercedes flats in like a week one time. I remember. And it was like $3,000 tires. You're flat out.
Yes, it's a lot. So being able to deal with all of that, right? So that could be your crunch, and then how to figure that out is tough, because in the real estate, banks don't like us.
Right.
That's just a fact. True. Banks do not like real estate. So they don't lend you much on real estate, because it's just very risky business.
They're hedging all day long.
Yeah. So you have to be able to sometimes be creative. So sometimes if you hit a pothole, you have to have people around you who understand real estate. Say, okay, you might have to take high interest loans to get past these points. And then once you get past it, you can hopefully save some more cash so it's not as uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And then just not do as much
Yeah,
or
I think what
find
you're saying
partners
too,
in it.
and I think in entrepreneurialism, survival, every relationship counts. And people don't understand, like, you don't want to burn bridges because you don't know when you'll need that relationship to help you navigate and get through a situation. My greatest asset is my contacts. If I'm going through something and now I don't even realize if I want to deal with a bank, I know most times I reach out to someone at a bank is because I know that person for years. If I need a favor, I'm not. As you get older and you build great relationships, it's less cold calling and more just reaching out to people within your network.
Yeah.
So I say to these young entrepreneurs, like, establishing relationships
And networking,
and like solid network, not like you go to an event and you exchange cards or whatever you exchange now. That's not real networking. Real networking is like, I always say, when I meet with somebody and I'm networking, I'm trying to figure out how I can help them, because I know it'll come back to me in other ways. And I just believe in the universe. I believe in that you put good out there, and then it's going to circle back. Maybe not directly from that person, but it's going to circle back. And if your intentions are always good out there, it opens up a lot of doors for you.
I would agree with that.
So
I would agree with that.
I think when you think of the financial hustle, you have to be like making sure that everything is on point.
Which is tough.
Right. What financial mistakes have you made?
Oh man, which ones? I've made a lot of financial mistakes. I think that's one of the biggest things that's hard to recover from is anticipating that you're going to make money, spending more than you should be spending during that time when you should be saving, and it puts you into a deep hole. So I've get caught up in the after effect thinking that I'm going to make $1 million. And in this process of making $1 million, you forget about the steps to get to the $1 million.
Right.
And then you lose focus, right? And then in a time like in my real estate business, we do hard money. Hard money adds up fast. It's high interest. It's high turnaround. So then the fees add up quickly, and you can get hurt. And I've been hurt quite a few times through that lesson.
What would you say to somebody young starting out then? What would you do? How do you avoid getting hurt?
I think you have to be diligent. You have to stay within the steps. Stay focused. Like I tell my team now, we have to make sure I don't focus on the money anymore. I focus on the process, right? Mm-hmm. So you focus on the process and making sure that you have the right people around you, right? So as an entrepreneur, I think that focus on the process is the best thing to do. Not get worried about how much money you're going to make, but how good you're doing through each and every step of the process to get to that point.
Absolutely.
Right? And in that, you'll see the returns. Even if it doesn't become what you're looking for, at least you'll get to the end where you should survive from the situation. Make some money.
I agree 100% what you're saying. One of the things I struggle with, and I still struggle with today, is growth, scaling. They say, I believe it's easier to go from medium-sized business to a large business, from a large business to like a traded business. I think from small to medium is a very hard struggle because these cash flows are tight. Yeah. Adding one staff member can throw your numbers off.
Yeah.
So when do you think, as a young person starting off, when would you say it's time to scale up, and how do you go about it? I can give you my quick answer. I'll let you go first, and then I'll give you my what I feel and believe, and I'm still learning, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough part because hiring individuals, people don't respect your business as much as you do. They're not going to be as committed, and finding that commitment is tough, right? And then it's consistency to make sure, because at the end of the day, if you have somebody who's going to dedicate themselves to work with you, you have to be able to pay them, right? Correct. And if you don't have that consistency of the cash flow and the access to it, it's going to, your business is going to fall right back to where you were from before. Correct. So it's making sure that you can get to a point where you know that your business, like, okay, that if I need this employee's going to cost me $50,000 a year, right? I'm going to save at least $35,000 of that to put aside to make sure I can pay this person for the next 6 to 8 months. And while I'm still hustling to get to the next step, at least I know that that's one thing I have to worry about.
Correct. Yeah, it's true, because I struggle with it sometimes, just the growth process, because I don't want to be that entrepreneur that gets so far ahead of himself and then out there bragging, but is drowning in debt. So I really
Yeah.
try to like manage my monthly cash flow to make sure that I don't get to that point. And then sometimes in hindsight, I look at like when I study and read a lot of successful businesses, a lot of businesses become successful out of debt, you know, and, and so being aggressive in the market. And if I look back, I say, well, I was always a little bit conservative in terms of aggressive. And as you know, but had I been aggressive, where would I have been? I either would have bust or, got to a super, I believe. So I think there, if I had to do it over again, there's a little bit of a deeper risk you have to take when you have the confidence in yourself and you have to get comfortable with debt. And I know it sounds people may not want to hear it, but if you look at any successful business, right down from Google to Apple to Uber, they all had millions upon Tesla, hundreds of millions in debt, and then eventually they caught up where the business outgrew the debt, and that's just to me the pattern of real. If you want to get to that entrepreneur, if you just want to be like small business, maybe you don't have to follow that theory, but if you're trying to be like really, if you're trying to take something to a really higher level, you have to get like that. And even people that, when you get VC money, you get funding, when they give you like $1 million, $2 million, they want you to run through that money to grow your business. They're not looking for the first couple of years for you to be profitable. They'll tell you, run through it, hire your staff, grow your business, because the returns are going to come later down the road.
That is important.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some gems. And I know you have a lot of them because we quote each other all day, every day. I can probably answer this for you. Let me answer this for you. I think one of the contributed to your success is that you don't quit. Like I always say, you do this disappearing act maybe for 24 hours to catch yourself. I'm like, Russell, answer your phone. But then in 24 hours, you're like, I'm ready, and you're in like speed mode. Like, whatever rough day you have, you may need to take a little bit of a time out, but it's no longer than 24 hours, and your commitment to what you're doing just taps right in. You're hardworking again. You're at it regardless of what's going on in your life. So I admire that about your commitment to what you're doing.
Thank you. I think that you said it all. You wrapped it up. It's the commitment. It's the love for what you do. It's making sure, depending on, doesn't matter how stressful things get for you, that you find the energy to get back up, right, and get it to do it again. So for me, yes, like when I have those tough days, since I'm older now, my family, my kids give me the energy. So I find the sources of things. So it could be music. It could be just sitting down in silence and I like to be lighthearted, so I like to laugh a lot. So as long as I can get rid of that negativity I had from the night before, now I know it's just time to push harder, work harder, to continuously give that energy to make sure that I move forward.
I agree. And when I was younger, I used to like to be around people,
Yeah.
And I needed that to build my confidence. But now that I get older, I really like more like being with myself and my thoughts and just like thinking about the plan. Like I think that's why I love to run now. Even now, I used to do at the gym. I used to like do group workouts, and just this month I started just doing workouts by myself, my music, and I just zone out. It just meditates me, and it gets me like ready to go. Because then I just feel like when I'm in my entrepreneurial spirit mode, I'm in just like go mode, and then I just like that silence. That I think that's what's propelling me and helping me continue my journey at this point in my life.
I love a challenge. I love when people tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
I love when people try to drop me on my head because they feel like they're more important than what we're doing. I love those things. I love to come up from the bottom where people are just feeling that you're not supposed to be.
The crazy thing is, you can call me crazy. And I think to be successful, you have to have a little bit of craziness anyhow. You can't. If you're if you're not crazy, that means you're just gonna follow the norm, and you'll never be successful. So I think I like a controlled craziness. Yeah. And one of the things I like to do is I like to tell the haters, and I know who they are in some of my circles, like what I'm doing, because I want to hear all the hate. I want to take it in, bring it, punch me, bring all the hate in. I like to absorb all the hate, and so then it just fuels me, Right. And even if I don't get the final where I wanted to go with it, I can always find a victory lane, So I agree with you. I like the hate. So let me ask you now, before we check out, I want to ask you this last question. Throw away everything you've accomplished, everything you have. Go back in time. You got $500. How are you achieving success? What are you going to do quickly? You got a minute to do it.
I'm going to get the foreclosure lists of people in foreclosure. I'm going to knock on all doors. I'm going to call everybody. I'm going to find a deal. I'm going to find multiple deals
Wow.
that someone who needs some help, because it's all about the information. You don't need more than $500 to lock up a contract in New York. All right? I will find it. I'll
you
lock up
up
a
a
deal
contract.
for $500, and I would work that deal to the end, and I know that I could find an investor who would buy it from me for minimum $10,000.
So within a couple months, that 500 is 10,000 a month.
No, more than it'll probably take me longer than that, but I'll turn it to something. I would turn it to minimum $10,000 and
Wow.
then continue to
That's
do it
what's up.
again.
That's
Yeah,
what's up.
and come back.
Yeah.
All right, because it's not even. A lot of people think it's the money; it's the information.
Right.
It's the, and that's what it comes down to. It's the information that we have.
Right. That's a good. I mean, that's great. I mean, I'm trying to think what I would do. It's a scary thing to start all over again.
So scary.
I would definitely scour the internet, listen to a lot of podcasts, and just find out what need is out there. And it can be something small. Like I was at the gym and I was watching them. They have these people that do these kettlebell throwing, and the kettlebell throws up, comes back down, throws up, comes back down. And I watched them drop a lot of them. And I what if you made a little like steel toe workout shoe for them that's light, has a little steel in it, so the kettlebell drops on the shoe, on their feet, they're protected. Even if I would sell 50 units, it could start off. So I would just be constantly think of what little need can I fill and how can I do it, and I would just go from there. But I would stay in current with everything that's happening in the world and try to figure that out. And that's how I started too. I started just daily events, and figuring out where I can find my position.
Yeah, but that's a great question, because that's one of our biggest fears as an entrepreneur. And I talk to family friends about that a lot of times, because like you think about all the success you have, that you're working hard, and then if you lose it, what do? I'm unhireable. I'm going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm not going to even make close to what I'm making. But it gives me comfort that I know that I can get back out there, and I just have to start over. So it's the fear of starting over for most people. So as long as I get past that fear, it gives you a comfortability.
Listen, I'm going to close out with this last little quick story. I'm going to try and say it as quickly as I possible just to piggyback on what you're saying. I know the producers are looking at me like, let's wrap it up, and I'm going to give this last story. There was a lady that wanted to marry this billionaire guy, and he brought it up on his plane, and he went in the sky in his private jet, and he got down on one knee, and he asked her to marry. She started crying. She says, no, I can't marry you. And she says, why? Because, I come from humble beginnings. My family's poor, and, if I don't know if I'll be able to keep you happy. And he said, what if I gave away my planes? I gave away my houses, my cars, and we just lived like peasants in the woods. Would you marry me then? And she thought about it, and she said, yes, I would. And he said to her, well, you know that if we do that, I'll be rich again. We're out. Two Black Guys with Good Credit. Russell, thank you for coming on the show.
My brother.
I appreciate you.
That was good.
Two black guys with good credit.